Hey, I'm Yoad. Welcome to my studio. I have this song here, which I finished the production on, and now it's ready to be mixed. This video serves two purposes. One, I'm going to show you how I take my productions into the mix stage. And the other is for producers who send me files to mix, how I would like to receive the stems and what processes you have to take in order to prepare it for a professional mix. So this is the song.
I like to when you send me a message or two. I like to when you ask how my Saturday's been. I liked it when you said we will make it through. But I don't know you at all, so I can't trust you. And I fell into a trap that you set me up to. Make me lose my mind. You're the tender.
So as you can hear, there's a vibe here. This session went really quickly. May was here the other week, and we just did it in one session. So this is from nothing to what you're hearing now. So there's a bit of mastering here. There's some processing on the vocal, harmonies. Everything is kind of there, but it was done very, very quickly. Because the way I work is that I just have an idea and I record it quickly. And I don't worry about the sound or anything but the performance. So it's pretty well organized, but I need to go in and check for fades and stuff because this is just playing, punching in and out, all very rough. So now it needs to be polished. It needs to become a product before the mix stage. So when it comes to mixing, it's all ready to get mixed. Everything is bounced. We open a new session and we import clean and beautiful stems. So let's go track by track and see what we have. We had a guide piano that May played here and she did a guide vocal. And then I built the whole thing around that. So I was just listening to the track and I played the kick and the snare and the hats like one take. So you see that the kick has its own part. So it kind of responding to the vocal. So it changes. The sound, that was like the first sound that I was browsing, and that's what I found. You can hear that it's way out of center and it needs some work. So we'll get to that. Then I doubled it with another kind of more clean kick. So together, but still, it drags to the right a lot. And then I played some live drums. If you enjoy my videos, you can subscribe to this channel. So here I have the live kit elements and they're recorded separately, but they're going through the same kit. Therefore, they're going to get compressed together. So if I listen to all of it, you can hear that the hi-hat gets compressed when the kick and snare hit. So if I bounce it just one at a time, it will sound different. The kick and the snare will sound pretty much the same, but the hi-hat, here it's much more constant, whereas here, and I like this pumping effect. So I'm going to treat these as one track. So when I bounce it, it will get bounced as the live kit. Here, we want to sort out the kind of balance between the sides. So I'm going to get an S1 and see how I can make it a little bit more symmetric. Now, I'm not concerned about the plugin showing clipping here. This is 64-bit floating point, so it will get sorted when I bounce it. because it will go through the fader, which will bring the level down. So I'm not actually clipping because I'm working in floating point. This is very tricky because I'm hearing one thing and I'm seeing another, and I can't stand the meters not being centered, especially on a kick. So I'm going to narrow the stereo image because we're gonna have the stereo thing coming from here with the room and everything. So I'm getting that anyway. So this is just to give it that kind of low mid presence. This kick is fine. It's those two together. Now this is my opportunity to make sure that the timing is perfect. So I'm going to play with the timing of the second kick and see if I can improve anything here. So this is less clicky and more body. I just want to make sure I'm not hearing like a double click. Let's go the other way. So that's more thin. So I like the direction that this was going in. Now I'm hearing a double click. So let's go to 3. That has a nice body to it. Gonna stay with that. Let's hear the snare. Now the sample has a bit of reverb. I'm cool with that. Let's go to the next one. That's a nice snare. I was experimenting with something here and I chose to bypass it. So just to prevent confusion, I'm going to remove this plugin. So I know that only stuff that is actually used in the session is present. Now this hi-hat is panned to the left a little bit. I'm okay with that. And this is a more kind of live with a bit of room. That's fine. So all these should be fine. That's chorus stuff. Now here I have some unused bass takes. I don't need them. This is pretty much one take. I may have shifted like 1 or 2 notes here. I cut this so I can do this. Okay.
All my doubts, they suddenly come.
So I like how it's sounding, and there's a bit of work done because I was taking a lot of low mid. Maybe too much actually. Now if I remove this EQ, it will affect the compression because we'll have more energy. So I'm taking a mental note that I'm reducing quite a lot at 126. When I mix, I may want to bring those frequencies back up, but that will happen after the compression. So I'm going to keep it as is. I just want to make sure that the gate is working properly. It's a little bit sensitive. What I can try to do is to strip silence. So I'm going to select a small portion of that because there's no zoom in on this window. So I can see everything, and I think that this is pretty good. I can tie the long phrases together. So I don't need that much separation, and here I need more sensitivity because I'm losing the tail. So something like that. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to apply it to the entire track. I'm going to select all the parts except for the one that has the pitch slope. And I'm going to shorten the length and apply some fade so it's all smooth. That's cool. Okay, let's see what else we have. We have this piano. That was the guide piano. And then I stripped the left hand to another track. I don't need that. So I'm going to keep it as is. There are no plugins. So I'm happy with that. And here, just for the intro, I reversed that. Sounds pretty good. I don't need to do anything to that. Okay, let's look at the main piano. That's a piano I sampled at the Townhouse Studios. I love the sound of it. It's so bright. And I have the TG channel, which I like. It's a little bit thin, so I'm going to give it a little bit more lows. Oh, actually, I can do that later. It's tempting, but I want to maintain the composition as I had it because there was a vibe to that rough mix. I want to maintain that. So everything I do from now on in the mix stage will build on that. And then here I split the left hand, so it's and together. Okay, let's see what we have here. Some reverb here, cool with that. That's kind of an as-is sound. I'm not gonna do anything to it. I had to play with the bass station to just one take, changing presets and tweaking and playing just to audio. So there's some elements here. Let's see which ones I've used. I've not used this one.
Had enough of dealing with guys like you.
Okay.
But I don't know.
So this one has some delay and some reverb, and that's a mixed thing really. So I'm going to bypass the delay. The reverb will get bounced as part of the auxiliary return track, so we will have it here. If I want to use it, so this is good to go. Here I'm going to do the same. So here I have this biff. The delay is cool, but I can import it to the mix session from this session. So I'm not concerned about that. What's here? Okay, and what do we have here? Probably the same. Yeah, so with all of these, so this is literally 1 or 2 takes that I was going and changing presets, doing some stuff straight to audio, no MIDI, and then went and chopped them and found just the kind of nice bits. Now here we have guitars. So this is just me playing and overdubbing. So we have this. This sound came straight from the Zoom pedal as is. There's no processing on it whatsoever. What I am going to do is to tighten the editing here. Now here it has this thing going, and I want to merge it into one stereo track because it's much easier to handle. So I'm going to see what the level is. We have the faders at -7. I'm going to make it 0, create a stereo track, pan it to the center, and then bring it back to -7. So now we have the exact same thing, but as a stereo track. And here we have 2 guitars, again doubled. Straight from the Zoom, there's nothing on them. When I work quickly on production, I just want to vibe, and those guitar pedals are so good. I don't care about getting a realistic amp emulation sound. I have loads of amps in the live room, but that would mean that I would have to go there and mic it up and play and record and all that. There's a pedal here. It makes great noises, and I just recorded it and it's done. I can make it tighter. Let's see what we lose if I chop it. I don't think it will work well. I think it will sound too chopped. So something like that, basically eliminating the noise altogether. So let's just do it on the other track and listen to those two. I don't see the need of doing that. No one is going to hear that kind of noise, and it's fine. So again, this is -13.2, so I'm going to 0 them, make a stereo track, hand it to the center, -13.2, and then I have the exact same thing, but as a stereo track. That is like a leading sort of effect. I'm going to bounce it as is because it sounds great. Now here I have some amp simulator. Let's hear it without. That was a clean sound. That's a great sound out of the Zoom as well. But I wanted it a little bit more driven. The amp plugin receives the signal pre-fader. So what I'm going to do here is the same thing, -17.8. I'm going to bounce these to a stereo track, and then I'm going to set the level back. So that should sound the same. Okay, now we have some beatboxing elements that May did. And there's some processing on those. Nice. So I'm going to leave them as is, basically. Now with these, I don't want to make a stereo track because some plugins, like our channel, don't know how to convert between stereo and mono. So I will have to copy the settings, switch to a stereo version, then paste the setting. Too much work. So since they're not playing together except for this part, what I'm going to do is to bounce them to a stereo track. So I'm going to take the mastering chain out, and I'm just going to bounce it all from bar 0. And then I will have this track as is. So now I will have one track, and I can cut it to different parts if I need to, because they're not overlapping. And this means that these should be muted. This one is going to stay as is. There's like an auto pen thing going here. I'm happy with that as is. And the next thing we have is the intro vocals. So here So that's what's reported. And obviously we want it as is because it's that sound. So I'm going to leave it with a delay and all. And now we have the lead vocal. So as you can see, most of the vocal come derived from the first take. This is the guide vocal and this is the first take. So it's mostly the first take with some bits from the other takes. So I'm going to delete everything. This is the vocal setup I had while working on the track, while balancing it, while adding overdubs and things. So there's something about that that works.
You asked how my Saturday's been. I liked it when you said we will make it through.
That sounds to me like a good starting point. Now I can get away with bouncing that as is because I'm mixing my own production. But when producers send me their stems for mixing, I always ask for the vocal to be raw, except for tuning if there is any. In this case, I'm going to bounce the vocal as is, and then I'm going to bounce a raw version of it as well. Now, I've done some editing here, and there's deep breath, so I left the breaths in. There's an expander, so it's clean.
I have to say that you've got me really impressed. You talk to
So
me.
the breaths are still there, but they're quiet. After all the compression and everything that's going on here, without the deep breath, they will be very loud.
I have to say that you've got me really impressed. You talk to me.
So the deep breath is doing a great job. We have some ad-libs. So this is what we recorded. She was just singing a whole take, and then we chose just a few bits.
Yes, you are. The way I fell into your trap.
So I'm going to leave these as they are. And then we have some doubles in the chorus.
Don't know you at all, so I can trust you. And I fell into a trap that you set me up.
And then I have some processing on the group. Now, Logic will bounce all the tracks that appear on the arrange page. So it will bounce these, which will be raw, but it will also bounce the group, which has the processing. So when I import the tracks, I can choose whether I want to use the processed group, which will be stereo, or the raw vocals as they were recorded. And I think this is ready to be bounced. So I'm going to save this session as a temp session, so I can always go back to that without disturbing the original session because I have made a few changes. And then I'm going to bounce all tracks. Now here I want the track number because I want them to come up at the same order that I have them here. And I want the plugins in. And I want the mixer levels and pan included. So now it's ready to be bounced. So now I'm going to remember the BPM. I'm going to close this session. I have a mix template here, which is a session with some effect returns, which would be useful. I'm going to set the BPM, and then I can import the files. Now the only thing I have to do is to mute the individual harmonies, so we can hear only the group, and we should have the same balance, except for the mastering.
You send me a message or two. I like to win. You ask how much.
So the only thing I'm missing here is the delays on the base station tracks, which I can recreate. Now, psychologically, I'm in a great position because everything is clean. I know what everything does. This process gave me a chance to go over all the tracks, polish them, making sure that they're all ready and happy. And now I can start mixing. From here, there's not a lot to do because the track already stands.
But I don't know you at all, so I can't trust you. And I fell into a trap that
In part 2, we'll go through the rest of the mix process, starting from this point. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do, and I will see you on the next one.